What does the concept of Panentheism have to offer us as individuals? Panentheism is a Greek term which, when broken down by syllable, means all in God. Panentheism offers us a place to exist, we, you and I, within the causative force. Panentheism is the concept that all major religions preach, but do not necessarily accept. If the causative force were truly omnipresent, then there is only one place our universe could exist, and that would be within the causative force herself. The idea of being within the causative force is what is rejected by Western religions, not so readily by Eastern. Existing inside the causative force means we, you and I, would be nothing less than a portion, an aspect, an emanation, an image of the causative force. Imagine what this means. You are located not near the causative force, but actually inside. All the concepts you assign to God, whether it be eternity, intolerance of suffering, love, justice, rationality, observability, all come from, are a part of, are characteristics of the causative force, for they all lie within the causative force. All are important, for if you exist within God, you are immersed in all these characteristics. Religions often reject each other, but why? Which characteristic can we afford to remove from the causative force within which we exist? Eastern and Western religions hold to the premise of omnipresence. Western religions, however, did their own twist to the concept. Most Western religions agree that God is so big that he, she is omnipresent, all present. They add a qualifier, however, for they then go on to say that the universe within which we exist is not a part of her, him, it. And why do they do such an odd thing? They do so because they have never been able to come up with a logical reason as to how sin, how bad, evil, actions and events could take place in a truly loving or just God. And so, it is that Western religions left the true concept of omnipresence of the causative force behind. I would add that process theodicy has an adequate response. This action has caused Western religions to forge ahead with a causative force concept less than omnipresent, and that in turn has accentuated the major social dilemmas we have to face today. Without true omnipresence, we cannot define life. Heaven is where God is. And if God is truly omnipresent, there is no separation between heaven, conceptually, and earth. Without true omnipresence, we cannot define life, eternal or physical. Without a definition of life, we cannot resolve the issues of abortion, cloning, mercy killings, AI, extraterrestrial life, androids, abusive behavior, fetal tissue research, religious tolerance, and on and on. What significance does panentheism have to offer us as a species? Panentheism offers our species the understanding that higher organisms have lower organisms as their constituents. Which of lower organisms? Doesn't this imply that we are inferior to the causative force? No. The word lower here implies being within, not inferior to. Being a part of a whole is not a concept of hierarchy. Being a part of a whole does not diminish the concept of that the part of something has no significance. Your heart has much significance to you. Your brain has much significance to you. Your hands and feet have such significance to you. And if the question is just how much significance do you have to God, then who are we to judge? The point that is being made here is that with the acceptance of the concept of panentheism, you and I individually have a purpose in reality. This understanding that we have a purpose is something we never had before, either as individuals or as a species. Often we have wandered in the darkness. We have sensed it but never understood it because we have always been told we exist outside of the causative force, completely wholly separate. We have always been told we need the causative force, but God in no way needs us. We needed the message that the causative force was always a solid guideline for us. Religions cushioned it with an eternal existence, with a sense of belonging to one uniting causative force, with compassion for the misfortune of others, with love of one another, with the knowledge that justice would have its way in the end. But the loss we felt, it not belonging to the causative force because we were outside, was always an unsettling one. The concept of not understanding that we are part of the causative force always left of us as individuals and as a species with a sense of uncertainty as to our significance. For if we were not a part of the whole, part of the causative force herself, then just what were we a part of? We were in fact isolated from the causative force. Much of what religions had to tell us made sense to us in terms of gut feelings, faith, religion, but not in terms of logic, philosophy, not in terms of much of what we saw as science. Panentheism rectifies much of this, as well as many other paradoxes.